So we're here with Sister Mac, who some of us think that she's a little stubborn. Some may see it as resilience and persistence. But Sister Mac comes to church every Sunday, regardless of the caution by the government, regardless of the concern of some of her members. And today we just want to talk to her, get to know what's in her head. Sister Mac, why do you still come to church every Sunday? And you know you're old.
Because I'm a committed person to my church, and I love my church. I'm at home all week, not seeing any of my brethren, communicating with anyone. And Sunday morning is the best time for me to see my brethren and communicate with them.
I have to ask you this. When COVID-19 came into our knowledge and we were all forced to stay home, how was that for you? How did that make you feel?
It was very bad. I wasn't feeling good at all, feeling down, depressed, as if everything gone. Seems as if things would not even come back to this, that I could go back to church. That's the way I felt.
Do you think that other persons in your age group, other senior citizens, do you think that they are feeling the same way?
Yes, I know two sisters who felt the same like me, feeling that everything is finished now and that things not going to come back to normal, that we can go to church. And again, the criticism of us that when you go to church, they are telling you to go back to your house because them say of your age you're not to be at church.
A lot of us would say it is because we care about you, we care about you, we care about the other persons in that age group. And so it's a lot of love and care that is coming out of our voices saying, why are you at church? Why are you not in your home? Wear your mask. Do you receive the love and the care and the concern? Do you feel that in the middle of it?
Yes, I feel the love and the care. But if Kobe want to take me, it will take me in my house. Not at church alone or on the street. If it is an epidemic that is going around that will affect anybody, it can take me in my house too.
Sister Mac, we are told that we can continue our spiritual walk, from the comfort of our homes. We can stay connected to God from our homes. Couldn't you just do that? Can you stay home and pray and fast and worship?
Yes.
What is it about church?
Yes, but we have to fellowship. And you miss your brethren, you want to see each other. Sometimes you don't even have a phone card to call. Sometimes you have and you call and it finish. Cost a lot. So you want to see your brethren. To fellowship with one another. That's what we are about to do. Or we are supposed to do, to fellowship. Meet and fellowship with our one another.
Just a few more questions, Sister Mac. For those persons who may be watching, who are in your age group, who can't come out like you, who don't have the strength or the physical capability to take the bus and come out, what would you say to them? How are they going to encourage themselves and to keep their souls strong during this time?
Well, we are serving a big God and He's everywhere. So if you are unable to come out, continue to read and pray to the same God that we're serving in the church. So if you can't afford to come out, you stay in, call upon the same God, because He is everywhere.
Sister Mac, last question for you. If you could give those of us watching one major advice, about this time and this season that we're in, what would you say if you had a bunch of us sitting at your feet now and you had to give us one word of encouragement? What would that be?
There is something that came in my mind the other day about the children of Israel when the Lord sent His judgment upon them and the blood was put on the lintel that was animal blood mark upon you. So when the death angel passing, they would see that blood and pass you by. Well, the blood of Jesus is upon us. So when you serve God, he said he will not let the disease that go upon the Egyptians come upon us. And I believe in God, and I know that he's not taking back his word.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Sister Mac.
Right. Thanks for having me, Sister Sandrina Davis. At first, for me, I didn't mind being at home because being an introverted person, I like being at home and knowing that the virus was out there, I would be safe at home. So it was great for me. You know, I start working and doing church from home, and I was really enjoying it. However, as the months dragged on, it no longer felt like a safe haven, but more like an imprisonment, you know, because when you do something out of choice, your brain receives it differently than when it is done forcibly. When I used to stay home, you know, out of my own volition, I enjoyed it, you know, but now that I am compelled to do so, it's becoming a little tiring and cumbersome because I can't get to go out and enjoy myself with my friends like I used to. More so because I don't trust the safety of it, you know, because I know persons still going out, they're still enjoying themselves, but for me, I don't trust the safety of it, and so I don't go out. So at first, I welcome the stay-at-home order, but now I'm just waiting with anticipation for this pandemic to be over. So at first, it was fun, but no, it's not so much more, you know.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that, you know, you really just expressed a very honest place. And for a lot of us who did well want to get a few days off from work or school or whatever, I think a lot of us were excited, you know, in the beginning. I want to ask you a personal question. I mean, you mentioned it about as the months dragged on, it didn't feel like a holiday anymore, but more like imprisonment. What goes on in your mind during all these months of, you know, not seeing your family members, you know, not, as you said, not going out with your friends? I really want to know exactly how that affected you mentally.
All right. As I said before, initially it didn't affect me mentally because you know you just as you said, it was exciting. You wanted to do it, and the only concern I had when COVID came to Jamaica was about my comorbidities. You know, there was underlying issues that I have for myself and for my mothers as well. But as I said before, as the time progresses, you know, it affected me somewhat because it wasn't the virus itself, but the spin-off from it, you know, from the pandemic, because, you know, this pandemic caused a lot of adverse effects in various ways and for various persons. And while it didn't affect me on a personal level, but because of the concerns that I had for others, you know, and what they were going through, because I had co-workers who were placed on temporary laid off and then eventually redundant. I know what that was doing to them, you know, and I had thoughts about also about the children and how they were being advertently affected by this pandemic, whether they were in Jamaica or in other parts of the world, you know, because a lot of them are suffering various types of abuse, and with the closure of school for such a long time, their education was also being affected. So and there was other world issues as well that was playing around in my head. So even though it wasn't so much personally, but it was affecting me to a point where I'm telling you, honestly, I remember one point I felt like I was just at the edge, I tell you. And in order for me to get my release, one night I had to WhatsApp a good friend of mine, you know, one of my best friends for years. And what I did as well during that time while I was talking to her on the WhatsApp is that I had to have an hysterically good cry. You know, them cried away with a whole heap of water works and your bawl and tears and everything. And then afterwards, I said my prayers and I slept it off. So, you know, indirectly and inadvertently, it affected me. And I didn't realize it at first until my, as they would say, proverbial cup was full. So yes, it did, you know, affected me, and I had to get a release from it. And thank God that I had a friend, who I could, rest on, and of course cried it out and all of that. So it did affected me.
Right? Because a lot of people think that Christians should not struggle with mental issues, I call them, because for us mental health means hey, you're mad. So Christians shouldn't
Yes.
struggle with anything mental because we serve God and God is in control. I have to ask you this, even as we're getting ready to hear from some of our other members. What would you say to those persons who I think give Christians a hard time if they say that they're depressed or that they're struggling mentally, or they have a lot on their mind that's weighing them down? What would you say to persons who
Mhm.
has understanding of that state?
All right. From a personal viewpoint, I would say, first of all, don't doctors get sick? Don't pastors get weary? So therefore, what's the difference with a Christian being affected emotionally? Because if you're going to say that because he's a doctor, he must not get sick, but they do, right? And because he's a pastor, he must not get weary, but they do. So the same thing as Christians, we do get emotional, and most persons would quick to say, but you're a Christian, go pray about it, man, and don't worry. And they believe by saying that would make it better. I mean, yes, we have Jesus, who is our strength and peace, and we rely on him to see us through difficult times. However, it doesn't negate the fact that Christians are humans. You understand? And we have to understand and remember that we were and still are humans before we became Christians. And being a Christian does not exempt us from the cares and emotional and psychological effects of humanity. And while we pray, yes, and we ask God for his peace and his guidance throughout these difficult times, there are still going to be Christians who are struggling with psychological issues due to this pandemic. And of course, this would just segue me into a professional viewpoint of it now. Because first of all, every person, as you said earlier, Sister Davis, has psychological issues from one time to another. You understand? Whether we are Christians or not, as long as we are human beings, there are going to be things that affect us emotionally. And as long as these things interfere with our daily activity, then they become psychological issues. Because psychological issues are anything that interrupt your day-to-day activities. A lot of persons will be struggling with adjustment disorder. You understand? And this occur when as a response of sudden change into a person's life. The changes that persons will be going through in this pandemic for some of our members is job loss. That is one of the major disruption that would be in anybody's life, because we know that based on the economical crisis that is happening now with the shutdown of a lot of industry, persons have to now be trying to adjust to the fact that they can't be taking care of their family anymore. You have persons who will be working for 10, 15, 20 years, and they know that they're paying their bills, paying their rent, taking care of their family, doing what they need to do because of their job security. Know that they were doing it every day until one day they just get up and hear that the sector is shutting down, the job is closing down, they are downsizing, and you have to go home. So the job loss is now putting persons at a disadvantage where they have to be trying to readjust to the newness of trying to figure out how I'm going to take care of my family, how I'm going to pay my bills. Also, we see the social isolation. You understand? Just like what you said before, to socially isolate, social distancing. We can't go mingle with each other anymore. So that is putting a strain on person as well. Person have to learn how to adjust to that. We have the online learning, which is not only just for the children, but also for the parents. You understand? Because you have a lot of parents who are not technologically savvy, and they have to be trying to navigate them way through this technology to assist the child to deal with the online learning. And the adjustment disorder is also affecting the children as well, because they used to the school environment, being in the playground with your friend, being in the classroom classroom, being in the buzz and the environment of school life, being out there. Now they have to be at home, in the garden, out in the yard, round the table, doing school. Yes, they are seeing their peers on the internet, but it's not the same buzz as if they were in the classroom. And some of these symptoms that comes with adjustment disorder is anxiety, irritability, depressed mood, just to name a few. So we know that some of our members will be dealing with that, whether Christians or not.
One last thing as we, just wrap up this little segment, I want you to really just stare into the camera and, for any of us who are watching, who are at home looking at this interview, looking at you on the screen and say, boy, it's me she's talking about. I'm really having some issues mentally during this time. I want you, and I think that you've advised us a lot from, just your professional standpoint, but advise us from your spiritual walk. What should I do? I feel like I'm losing my mind at home in this pandemic. I may have lost my job. I may not know where my next meal is coming from. What should I do? And I'm supposed to still trust God in all of this.
All right. As I said earlier, whether we are Christian or not, we're going to be going through this. And being a Christian doesn't mean that you're not going to be having issues. But at the same time, while we pray and we read our Bible, and that is all good, but we need to find each other. Find somebody that you can reach out. At the same time, cry out to person. Don't sit down and internalize it, because these are the things that will drive people to the edge and to commit suicide and to do all kind of evil, because they have internalized their feelings. Let it out. Call someone. Let them know that, look, come pray with me. Just listen to me. You don't need to give me no advice, because you don't need to be a professional counselor for me to talk to you. Just listen. I just need you to listen to what I'm going through. And at the end of it, you can say, boy, sister, me know where you feel, come here, go through it too, but make us go through it together now. Let us all hand and pull through to each other. So don't just stay in your quiet corner and suffer silently and suffer alone. Cry out to someone, reach out. While you pray, while you fast, while you read your Bible, you still need to reach out, because that is why God made Eve for Adam, because while Adam was himself, he needed a partner to help him pull together. So we all are here for each other. So just reach out.
Thank you so much, Sister Terry. Listen, me man. Look here. You cannot say you didn't hear anything from Sister Terry. Should I say Dr. Terry? That will help us to navigate this time. Really, really appreciate your openness and your honesty. Thank you for, just being transparent with us. And I know that somebody would have been helped from listening to your story. God bless you. And this is not the first or the last time that we'll definitely be coming to you for expertise. Thanks again so much, Terry Ann.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to be talking a little bit about how to cope with COVID-19 using just a positive mindset, as well as diet and exercise. And I want to be introducing you to one of our own members who has been using that as, just a really big lifestyle change, and how it has helped him during this time. So please, I'm asking you to welcome Robert Taylor. Hello, Robert. Thank you for joining. We're hoping to hear a lot from you that you will be able to share, just with our brethren and to help somebody who may be watching. So I'm jumping right into the middle of things. And my first question to you today is, tell me about, we're going to ask you to go back to March 2020, when this whole COVID-19 thing came about. Just take me to where you were, in your mind.
This is really happening. This is here. It's a pandemic. I've never faced a pandemic before. What's next? A lot of uncertainties and unexpectedness and stuff. I've been following what was happening in China at the time. From about January or so, I was following it. But, things happen in China that really come across to this side. They normally contain it, but when the Prime Minister announced that, hey, lockdown is going to happen, I was like, whoa, this is it. So that was where I was at mentally at the time.
Can I just throw a curveball in there for you? One
Sure.
of the person or the groups of persons that have been, told to be on real high alert and to stay home and all of that are our seniors, and you have the high position of an only child, and both your parents fall in the category of senior citizens, as well as the parish that you reside in was on complete and total lockdown for a period of time. Can you share with us, just what was going on in your heart when you think about the fact that these two people that you love so much are now in this category of high risk persons? And what would have been some of the things that you'd have been doing to try to protect, your family, as it were?
When I saw the category of who should be home and stuff, I was, my friends sometimes call me paranoid, which I became very paranoid, and I encouraged them to, I make sure to give them the lecture. I encourage them, hey, sanitize, mask up, stay kind of yard. If you don't have to go anywhere, maybe you go. You understand? And yeah, just ensure that they are safe enough and they are equipped to really deal with this pandemic, as it were.
All right. So those of us who may know you a little bit more than others know that, well, I trouble you all the time and say you act like you have a VIP stomach because you're very particular about what you eat and how it's prepared and where it comes from. And obviously we would know now that a really strong immune system and a healthy body and mind is a part of what is going to allow persons to survive this disease. Robert, talk about, why you decided to go the healthy way. How has it helped? And also, how have you been able to stay disciplined and consistent?
All right, so discipline and consistency. I can say that I am disciplined mentally, right? But physically, it's a different story.
Oh, so are you telling us that it all starts in the mind? That's really where it starts?
That's where everything starts, mentally. I normally say to people that your only limitation is your imagination, right? As a man, think it's so easy. So that's where it starts. Sometimes I can remember in April, May that's when the pandemic really was up and running. I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, no, this can't work. You understand? Because you're home, you eat anything, your lifestyle is kind of, you're on lockdown, so you can just wing it. But I wasn't pleased with what I was seeing, right? I didn't have the energy as I usually do. But it was a mental battle. Firstly, it was a serious mental battle because the mind is telling you, yo, you need to get up and exercise. But the body is saying, yo, go and catch your next 2 hours sleep. So that was where the battle was, mentally first.
Take us through maybe a typical day for Robert on this journey.
All right. Before I go into a day in the life, right? There's this lady that I watched a few years ago. I don't remember her name, but she had an acronym, right? It's called New Start, NEWSTART. And that's the acronym that I really followed along this journey. I am not where I want to be as yet, but I'm on a journey and I'll get there someday. So New Start, what does New Start mean? The N is for nutrition, right? Nutrition is a big part of it. Nutrition is the most important part of it. Some people believe that, oh, let me do 5 minutes on the treadmill or do 10 jumping jacks and I'm good. No, nutrition is 80% of it, the nutrition. So that's where I decided to target, because previously I usually exercise a lot, but I still ate the same things. And that was counterproductive. Wasn't going anywhere with that, right? E is for exercise. 20%, the other 20% exercise. You have to get the heart rate pumping. You have to do something. Cardio, high intensity interval training, weight training, something. You have to get up and move. And that was a challenge for me, as I expressed earlier, to actually get up and do this exercise. For me, I'm a morning person in terms of exercising. I like to exercise on an empty stomach. So, I can get that early bird and get that mental, get set for that for my day, right? The W is for water. Remember, we're going through new part. The W is for water. You have to drink water, a lot of it. Some people don't drink water at all. Pear juice can't work. You have to drink a lot of water, right? And try to eliminate the sugars, right? Just the other day I was looking at a bottle, a popular drink. I won't give any free promos. A popular drink that I drank a lot, a popular energy drink. And we need to look at these the nutrition table. The drink had so much sugar in it that when I did the calculation, it was ridiculous, right? Out of that one drink alone, too much sugar. So we need to watch our sugar intake and drink more water. The S is for sunlight. Black people, our melanin is a bit richer. It is richer, but we need the vitamin D. We need that vitamin D from the sunlight. So I would encourage everybody, as much as you can, get some sun in the day, just get some sunlight. We're working from home, so inside all the time, but just try and get some sunlight. Right, news. T, temperance, is really talking about self-restraint or self-control. Yeah, we're in a pandemic, but you can try to control yourself, and that ties in with the mental aspect as well. You need to control yourself, control what you put in your body, right? 8 is for air, fresh air. Again, we're in the house all day. We need to go outside and get some fresh air. Yeah, we know Kingston air kind of, if you can go to the hills or go to the country, get some fresh air in, that would be very good for you. So we're at New Start. The R is for rest or sleep. Rest is super, super, super important, right? You need at least 7 hours every night. I know some people get half of this, but we need we need a lot of, the body needs to repair itself at nights and needs to regenerate. And key to that is between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Those are the crucial times, right? Between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., crucial time in your sleep. You can research that if you want. And the last one is T, trusting God. Self-explanatory. God is the foundation of all, and we have to put our trust in him, especially in this time.
What would you say to somebody that would encourage them to just, start?
All right. So first and foremost, I'm not in a gym right now. I haven't signed up to a gym. All of my workouts is at home, right? I have 2 dumbbells that I use. I have like a resistance band, and I have a lot of videos, right, that I use to work out alongside. Or I go on the internet, find some kind of program, work with it, right? I'm on a journey. I haven't reach where I want to reach as yet. But persons believe that this thing is already come up quick thing. No. Don't watch what you see on Instagram and those people telling you, oh, 2 months and oh, 1 month, and you drink this tea and this and that, and people, hard work. You have to put in the work, right? So I'm saying a person who thinks that they don't have any money or might not have the time, you will find the time for what you need to do. You understand? Get at least 30 minutes out of your day. At least 30 minutes. You must can find 30 minutes out of your day. Get some cardio in. As I said, find a video. Everybody go on YouTube, you know. Those who have Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, go on it. You can find something that will show you how to. But get a skip rope. Get a jump rope. Do some jump ropes. Do some kind of jumping jacks or something. You understand? As it pertains to food too. Because people are like, oh, it's so expensive to eat healthy. When you buy the $2,000 KFC, couldn't you go to the market and buy some stuff with that $2,000? Yes, you could. You understand? How much your bungalow calorie? $150? You understand? It's just about you making up your mind to do it. And again, it comes back down to the mentality. It comes back down to the mind. You have to decide within your mind that, hey, I want this. Let me start. You understand? So it can be done. It can be done. Even on a budget, it can be done. You know, some people like to eat a lot of flour-based products. The flour is one of the killers. You know, if you can minimize that, substitute the flour and put in more greens in your diet. You understand? Instead of you have the 3 and the 4 cartwheel, piece of pumpkin, you know, some greens in it, and you have something balanced, you know? So it doesn't have to be drastic where you have, you know, no meat at all, and, you know, whatever works, just find what works for you. Whatever works for me might not necessarily work for you, but just start. At least start. And another thing to the sugar. Let me double down on the sugar. Sugar is in so many things. People think that sugar is only when you go in at the jar and you take out the teaspoon of sugar. No, sugar is hidden in so many things. Look at the labels. All right? So, yep.
Let me thank you so much for sharing with us very openly. I might add that we really appreciate it. What Robert is saying is just start somewhere, even in this time, and you'll be surprised over time how much progress you will make. Robert, you have one sentence to leave with us that will allow us to, when we get off this thing, to be ready to make one lifestyle change, even if it's not the full new start, but one lifestyle change.
Okay, one lifestyle change. Drink more water. Water. Put down the sugar, drink more water. And remember, your only limitation is your imagination.
All right. I feel a water challenge coming. You never know, so stay tuned. Thank you so much, Robert. We really appreciate you sharing. And we look forward to watching your progress, and maybe you will see some of our progress. God bless you.
Andy, one more thing.
Yes.
I just want to input the disclaimer. I am not a medical practitioner and I am not a nutritionist. So anything you're doing, please consult your doctor.
That is a perfect way for us to end this interview. Thank you so much, Robert. You take care and all the best on your journey.
Thank you.
All right, so we've been talking to a lot of your very own. Yes, this is the Franklinton story. And we're continuing our discussion with one of our beautiful young ladies from our church who is studying at this time, and we want to get the perspective of, you know, the person who is studying in this new environment, and just to talk a little bit about, you know, what she's studying, because some of us don't know, and just to see how she's been feeling in this time, and just to see how are the challenges with the learning space. Like Wollaston. Hi, Kerri. Thank you so much for choosing to share with us tonight. I want to start by just asking you to tell us, you know, take yourself back to March of 2020 when this whole COVID-19 thing came about, and tell us how you felt, what was going through your mind, and just how that time was for you.
Okay, good night, everyone. Okay, so I remember when we got the first confirmed case, I was in class at the time, I think around after 1, after 2, and everybody's phone was just going off on WhatsApp. And when I took up my phone, they were sending broadcast messages that Jamaica has recorded their first confirmed case. And the first thing I thought was like, girl, go home, right? Immediately, our teacher that was filling in for our actual teacher, because he left the island the very day, he got the message and he was like, I think we should not keep class today. We don't know. Everybody just basically panicked and run and went home. Immediately, no class for the rest of the week. And everybody was just home sitting and waiting what is going to happen next. Next thing you know, no school for the entire month, because you didn't know what they're going to do next. And we were not prepared for what was going to happen. And feeling that we had was the uncertainty. It made us very fearful of what is going to happen. Things are going around school regarding what's next that were not true. And so we had to send out a broadcast message to like quell everything. In the initial stage when the whole pandemic hit, everybody, for me, it was like, what am I going to do? What are we going to do? And from then to now, it's a little bit better, just a little bit. But I think in the initial stage, it was very frightening, because the uncertainty of what's going to happen was the thing that really made everybody panic and fearful.
We know now that you attend the University of the West Indies, and I think we're very interested to find out, what are you doing at the university? What are you studying? What?
Okay, so I'm studying integrated marketing communications. And the integrated really stands for having marketing, PR, and advertising in one.
It's like you're going to be very rich. Please remember all of us at Franklin Town when your bus big.
I hope so.
So Kerri, you've been home for months. A new school year has started, and now we all know that learning is going to take place online. I really want you to just share with us, you know, as a university student, what has this transition been like for you? Just tell us, just be open and vulnerable with us. Let us know what this has been like for you.
For me personally, it was lonely. It was confusing in the beginning. It's not like you're in class anymore and you could turn to somebody and say, what's sir say? What me say? All of that was cut out. The teachers were themselves very confused. We had to stop school for a month so they could fix the system that we could go to virtual classes on. The teachers weren't up to date with it. We weren't up to date with it as well, for the most part. It was a whole lot of confusion regarding that. I was really thinking about students like who were used to live on campus. They have to go home, no internet. We had to put on internet. My laptop crashed. That was the next thing, and so I didn't have a laptop. And then I was using my friend's laptop, and both of us were sharing a laptop. Then her cousins, who doesn't have a laptop, we're all using the one laptop.
I'm sorry, Kerri, let me just get this straight. You're saying that now for studies, you're sharing a device to continue your studies. That's what you're saying.
still. And last week her laptop broke. Tears, tears, like literally she called me in tears. And we pandemic, no lunch money, no whatever, but we had a little saving, and I sent her money because the truth is she really got me through April till now, being able to, so if I have exams today, I will use the laptop and then I'll give it to her by 6 p.m. so she can do her exam 9 o'clock, and then by noon I'm doing the next exam, and that's how we've been doing it. And then there are days when both of us are the same exam and I have to go somewhere to do my exam. Now with the violence in the community, sometimes recently she was telling me that she was in class and a bear shot, and the teacher was like, "What is that?" And she basically said like somebody knocking around there. That is the part that really terrifies me, is that sometimes you're in class and out of nowhere it's just po 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 po. Recently, I think it was Wednesday, I was in class, or sometime last week or before last week, I was in class and I looked through the window and my road was full with policemen with AKs. And my window is tint, so they can't see me, but I can see them. And so when they're pointing the gun was turning to me, but they didn't see. And my heart fell. I fell on the ground and I was crying. I was crying. In the middle of the night, you hear shots. So I'm up doing assignments, you hear shots. Sometimes the noise from the neighbors, arguments, music, all sorts of stuff. And when you're at school, you're focused on school. There's not much distraction. Otherwise, from somebody probably talking and you can tell him to tone it down a little bit. All attention is on school. The space is a school setting, so it limits all the distractions that we have at home. And you just have to be on the ball and stay on the ball, even though it's hard. But I understand for others, it's like more challenging. So even though it's hard for me, it could have been worse, and that is what I'm most grateful for, that I'm able to stay afloat. Mentally, you have to know how to stay afloat. Yeah.
Oh, Kerri, I think, just first of all, thank you so much for sharing and just being open with us. And you really brought us into what it really is like for not just a student, but a student from a community like, the ones that we are from. And we really appreciate that. I have a question that I want to ask you. I mean, there are many students I know personally who have decided to defer this year or to just pause their studies considering the climate. Like, why didn't you choose to do that?
I chose to continue because I know I was close to the end. I'm in my 3rd year, and so next year I'll be graduating. And so I was like, I'm pushing through. I'm pushing through because you don't know what next year is going to be. And so I don't know if the pandemic is going to be low. I don't know if it's going to be, more than likely it's going to be here until next year. And so I did not want to have to go through this extra time. I understand for some people it's very different. And so I said to myself, you just have to push through. But I've thought about leave of absence a lot, especially in the June, July period when I had an assignment. And I said to my teacher, I cannot do this. I told him I'm not in the mental space right now. I could just not bring myself to do the assignment. I pushed myself, and I could not do it. And so when I contacted him and I told him that I could not bring myself to do it, he was really shocked because he knows that coming like high water, I'm a student, I'm going to do my work, because I always tell my friends, I always tell everybody, we'll pay for this, and we are just not going to make this go to waste. Nothing is going to waste, everything has to be done. And so he really understood at that point the magnitude of how everything is affecting everybody. And yeah, I just had to push it because I did not want to next year comes and I have to be doing this again. I was like, you have to push through. It don't make sense to stop now. Just keep on going. And that's what I had to do.
Kerri, I want to ask you, and we're wrapping up now, just there may be some people in your age group that are watching this tonight, and maybe at the same point that you were in July or in June. And I want to know, I want you to tell us what motivates you to keep pushing even through the challenges, and what would you say to somebody else in your age group, maybe in tertiary, maybe in high school, to motivate them?
Remember why you started. We all had that the feeling of what we wanted to do, that happy-go-lucky feeling, and how we wanted to use the degree or use what we're studying to change our lives, into the people's life around us, and probably change somebody else's life, no matter the degree. And I would say, remember why you started. This all will pass, and when it passes, you want to make it count. You want it to stand for something. And so I would say that I always tell myself, this has to mean something. You can't go through every day, year after year, and come out with nothing to show. Like why you went through all of this. Something, it has to mean something. It has to count at the end of the day. And so I always remind myself that, and I will always tell people, remind yourself of those stuff, make it count, do it for you. If this moment will teach you self-discipline, there's nobody around to wake you up in the morning, there's nobody around to make sure you're at classes. This is a moment when you learn self-discipline. All of this is just a lesson for each of us, an opportunity in it some way, somehow. We have to just find it for ourselves, as badly as it seems. Be your own superhero at this point, make it count, and remember why you started.
Remember why you started. And I know I want to thank you so much, Kerri, for sharing. And I'm just going to use the opportunity to tell people a little bit, of our little business, because we know Kerri grew up in church and whatever, and we're not friends or anything like that. I had the opportunity a couple months ago to ask Kerri for help with a particular project, and it was in that time that I realized that Kerri, well grown up and professional and full of administrative capabilities. I did not know that this was the young woman that was in our church that was growing up, and I was very, very impressed. In fact, I've reached out to Kerri on a number of occasions to, as it were, be my hands extended, and she has delivered every single time. And so, Kerri, even as you were helping me with the challenges, I remember asking Kerri to do something, and Kerri said, oh, it's a little delayed because I don't own a laptop. Now, that was so shocking for me, because I couldn't believe that she was still turning out what I wanted from her, even without owning a laptop. Kerri, I told a friend of mine about you, and we have for you from my friend, Lenovo. Hello. You're on camera, darling.
Oh my God. Don't cry. Oh my God.
I remember my friend saying,
are you being serious?
Well, it's gonna be on video. Wow. I remember my friend saying when I was talking about it to her, she said, well, we have to help. She said, we have to help. And so
wow,
this is going to be our way of helping you. So thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for sharing so openly. And we appreciate you letting us into your life, and just to know how a tertiary student is coping during COVID-19.
Okay, so brothers and sisters, I told you that you were in for the real Franklin Town story, and this evening sharing with us, giving her side of the story about this whole COVID-19 pandemic, and just how she's been able to navigate it, is your own sister Joan Brown, and she's very shy. So just type in the comments that go Joan, so that she can feel a little bit motivated. But I thought based on a preliminary conversation with her, that what she had to share was going to be a blessing to somebody. So Joan, thank you very much for fighting your fear. And the first thing I want to ask you is, how did you feel when you first heard about COVID-19?
Fearful. Don't know what next. What to do. But you're looking forward to see what it is like and what will happen.
Tell me a little bit about what it was like in the early days when all of us had to be at home and just stay home for all those days. What was it like for you?
It was boring, uncomfortableness, because I'm not a person like stay home. But I try to cope. Some night I don't sleep, just one day to light to see the next day. Get up in the morning. I just try to find something to do to keep going. And I don't even want to watch news because I don't want to hear anything about it, you know. But at the same time, you're still hearing it. So you just have to go on.
Sister Joan, many of us know you as a busy businesswoman, let me call it that. You know, as I was younger growing up in church, me see you make hat, me see you sell things, me see you bake pudding. Tell us how something like COVID-19 would have affected your life as a businesswoman.
Okay, I normally sell a lot of things and go on the road and all of that. But because of COVID, we have St. Catherine closed down for some months or a month. And then you're there home, you don't know what to do again because I'm not a home person, so you get boring, you know. I get up in the morning, I sweep yard, I plant flowers. That's to keep going. And then, because you can't go on the road. And I said, then what else to do? And then I said, all right. I try everything, but not going on the road. So it's like, you know, so everything happening. So we said, try some masks. So I start making a mask and I start going on the road. So each time I go on the road, I said, what next? Because people saying, going on the road is not so safe. But at the same time, the home is still not safe. So I start to make masks and go on the road and sell masks each day. I come in the night tired, but I set up and sew a couple more and I go on the road each day. And just keep me going.
Sister Joan, let me ask you this. You were not able to do what you usually would do as the original business plan that you have,
Right.
you and your family.
Right.
But instead of sitting home and just saying, oh, no money now come in or no money not there, you decided that you were going to find another way, you're going to turn things around so that money can come in.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the same amount of money, because I mean, you know, mask, you'd have to sell 1 million masks, you understand?
Right.
But at least you're still doing something.
Yeah.
What has the experience been like on the road now? You're walking the streets, you're selling masks. What has that experience been like for you?
Well, it's up and down. But sometimes I'm so fearful. Taking the taxi back on the bus and so because you don't know who have it. And then you traveling, but at the same time you feel fearful, but you still have to go because you stay home. Staying home don't make sense. You're going dead if you're hungry. So we need to go and look something and do what they say to do. Wash your hand, wear your mask, and have you sanitize. So we try to do all what they require of us and be careful. But going on the road, it's up and down. Today you sell, tomorrow you don't sell. When I say don't sell, you sell every day. But some of the day you make a good little money, like a 3,000, 2,000. The next day you don't sell nothing. You might sell $1,000. Well, you never give nobody nothing to put on, so you give God thanks. I give God thanks because a lot of people out there selling masks. But my problem is that the good thing about mine, people like mine. So I never go on the road yet when I don't sell even $1,000. Right? Because every time people buy them, they come and look for me because they see a mask and look good, they fit good and they're comfortable. Because people selling masks for $100. Maybe $150, but I sell mine for $2 downtown just to keep going because they're not going to pay more fee. But we talk about survival.
Survival.
Yeah, so survival is a game. So for you to sell, you have to just work with the downtown people then. When other people come or so, you give them the right price. But to make a money, if you come home, you have to just sell for $200 too. Well, if you see somebody, you can get you 3, but you just go and say 2. And then may as well sell. We give God thanks.
You said you give God thanks, and this is a perfect time for me to ask you this question. Your relationship with God during this pandemic, during COVID-19, times when you're at home wondering what is next, you know, how was that for you and how you and God work out that, you know, how you go, tell us.
Tell you, man, you see in these days, you have to know God yourself. whether pandemic or not, you have to know God yourself. But these days now make you go up closer. Because going on the road, you wear the mask, you have the sanitizer. I don't think that even protect you much. But going out in the morning, I pray and say, God, cover me. Cover me from whatever danger, COVID and everything. And even sometimes when I'm walking on the road, I say, God, teach me, show me where to go. Because sometimes I go on the road and it's like the Spirit will stir me and say, go this way. And sometimes when I go out in the morning, sometimes I don't sell anything early. Or don't start sell. And I say, God, I'm not sell nothing yet. And like God say, walk this up. And me just walk this and me just sell. If I have one and then there comes the day. You know, you just start pick up. So the whole thing is that you just trust God in everything you do in life. Trust Him. And in these days, they be closer drawn. It's hard. And a lot of things go and tell you, say, you just see nothing now go on, church now go on with nothing. You know, see nothing on YouTube and Zoom. Well, yeah, but, you know, even the morning is a fight to reach church. But we come in, you know, and then you try to put your all night, and even just one day because you don't go church in the week. I don't go church in the week because of many reasons and whatever. So it's on Sunday morning. So when you go, you try to get the best. You go with a blessing to receive a blessing. You go with a blessing to receive a blessing.
Amen.
So you will get something. And you make that keep you, and you read your Bible and pray. Sometimes I never get to pray till I reach on the road. I said, God, sorry. Me just remember I never pray no good prayer. And I said, God, you know, and talk to God on the way. Even sometimes when you don't walk, I sometimes walk around in town. So some place I just said, God, me never pray good this morning. Or I said, you know, we put the next prayer. So God help me to sell something today. And God also said, no money.
Sister Joan, thank you very much for sharing. I have one last request of you. I want you to look in the camera. Look in the camera, Sister Joan. Somebody is at home, they're watching.
No.
They, not right now, but they're watching and they're going to be saying, I hear you, but I feel hopeless. I feel like things are turning up for me. I lost my job. I can't pay my bills. You know, what message would you leave with that person to tell them to hold on? What message would you give to them? And just look in the camera so they know that you're talking to them.
All right. God is an on-time God. Your timing is not God's timing. And you might say you want this like no, but God says not no, it's tomorrow. But God never said tomorrow and tomorrow. He just said wait on God, and God will work out things on your behalf. Just be faithful in whatever you do. Be faithful, and God will work it out. It might take a time, but God will come through. Because He do it for me, and He'll do it for many more. If you just believe and have faith, He will see it through.
You heard it here from the original Joan Brown herself. God is doing it for her, and He will definitely do it for you. We're all coping through COVID, but I think we as Christians will cope better because we know God and we know His word. Thank you so much, Auntie Joan. I know you're afraid, but you've done a fabulous job sharing with us, and we really, really appreciate it. Say bye to the people.
Bye. Have a nice day and be safe.
Thank you.